going on there, jerk faces? It's your boy Andy, and you're watching Nocturnal Transmissions, brought to you by the Circle of Jerks podcast. It's our weekly live stream where we talk about news, current events, the weather, as well as it's become a little bit of a forum for more philosophical or what's the word I'm looking for?
Inconvenient thoughts.
For esoteric thoughts,
Yeah,
esoteric thoughts.
it's been a lot of kind of doing some of that stuff. I always do enjoy that, and thinking about things differently. Utilizing good logic.
Right, and of course, as well as our live stream. Our movie review. To remind you, my blunder couldn't have come more perfectly because I was just about to tell you guys the title of tonight's movie, and that's The Father, starring Anthony Hopkins. And of course, to remind you, this month's theme is memory. With me, as ever, is the homeboy Rob.
What's going on, everybody? For our movie today.
So perfect.
Man, I'm so glad we get to talk about this movie. As soon as because I'm a huge Anthony Hopkins fan, and him winning the Academy Award for this film, I was like, okay, well, it's got to be good. I mean, there's not really a lot of bad films that he's in, and I watched it. I was like, oh shit, we are definitely going to review this film at some point.
Yeah, but I argue, or I would pose the question. It's somewhat rhetorically, but has there ever been a bad Anthony Hopkins performance?
His personally, no. Has he been in movies that have been bad? Yes.
Yeah, of course, yeah. But of course the point still stands. Like, has there ever been a bad Anthony Hopkins performance? And I would argue no. Even in his smaller roles, even just in the Marvel movies, him playing Odin, they've been great. Even in Ragnarok, when he was playing Odin, who was being played by Loki, and it was awesome. He perfectly encapsulated, or he completely personified the character Loki. In that small little few minutes of him Loki pretending to be Odin. But that was all Anthony Hopkins' performance, and it was just so whimsical and wonderful.
Yeah, I was actually listening to a couple of interviews with Anthony Hopkins this week.
Right.
Him talking acting and how he goes about it. Dude, it's so fucking simple. He's not one of these crazy method actors where it's really gotta, I gotta really embrace the role. It's none of that shit.
Right, it's I have if you're trying to portray someone who's having a panic attack, you don't have to induce the hyperventilating by running a few laps really quick, a la Dustin Hoffman.
He's the opposite of Christian Bale and Dustin Hoffman.
Right. Because I forget which movie it was, but I think it might have been Brando. But anyways, I don't know if Dustin Hoffman and Brando ever worked together. Do you know?
Oh, I'd have to look. It seems like they could have at some point, but
anyway, yeah. But the story goes is they had a scene together, and Dustin Hoffman had to portray someone who was out of breath, and so he quickly ran back and forth a few times, and then got himself in that physical state, and then the person he's doing the scene with goes and I believe it was an older actor. I'm not 100% sure it was Brando, but but it was an older actor, and he's like, "What the hell are you doing?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm just getting into character." It's like it's called acting.
It's probably not Brando, because Brando would understand that because he's part of the same school.
Right? He's method too.
In fact, like he probably would have been like one of the teachers to Dustin Hoffman of that method acting. So it's probably some of like more of the classical actors, like theater.
Again, I don't like don't hold me to Brando.
Anthony Hopkins, where it's like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, it's called acting.
Together. Yeah, get it together, bro.
Yeah. But yeah, it's just in this movie, it doesn't disappoint either.
No, it really. And
but let's not get too excited and just start talking about it right now. We do have topics for discussion today. Of course, we're going to be talking about, Trump's potential arraignment or indictment.
I'm almost laughing. It's so fucking stupid.
It's I don't know, on a matter that was resolved like federally. I mean, doesn't that run into like double jeopardy?
Yeah, you would think so. The whole thing just seems, like our title says, it's trumped up. It's a bullshit.
But it's also but again, like, because I know they're trying to go at it like at a different angle. Because I think the federal one was misappropriated. Campaign funds. But I think they're going at this. The New York State is going at it because that's one of the primary differences. Like this is prior it was federal, but this one New York State is going after him. And so they're basically taking the case, but then like putting a new label on it and calling it like something to do with like some sort of fraud.
Yeah, they hate this.
Yeah. It's like But again, I mean, I don't know. We're kind of talking about it, but also, we got that we're going to talk about. But then we're also going to be talking about what was it? Mandalorian season 3 and Star Trek Picard season 3. Because I know that it's a completely misleading title, but it makes sense because I put hot and cold, and in this this last, or they're both in their last seasons. These shows, potentially.
Is this the last Mandalorian season?
Well, I think they said that they're only going to do 3.
Oh man.
So yeah, this is potentially. I mean, depending on numbers or whatever, or if they're able to strike a new deal, whatever. But potentially. Yeah, and then Picard and Star Trek Picard. It was always slated as only 3 seasons. So there's these 3. There's these 2 shows, on their third and potentially last seasons. And whereas Mandalorian, the first 2 seasons were very strong. And I can't really talk about season 2 Picard because I just refuse to watch it. But I did watch season 1, and it is hot garbage.
I also refused to watch Picard because I was like, there's no way that this is going to be any good. And I think for the most part I've been proven correct because nobody likes it.
Right, but there has been a reversal of fortunes a bit because Mandalorian season 3 had it has some of the weakest numbers of that entire series, whereas Picard season 3, it's actually been getting pretty okay reviews, and because I was just so damn curious because there's people that I like. They're the people in that space, the sci-fi space that I've been following, and there's like hardliners where like I refuse to watch it no matter what. I don't care how good people are saying it is, and then there are those who who are more amenable, and they, if they're shown something, they can appreciate something for being of quality.
Right.
And so you have both those camps in the within the space of YouTube, like genre review. And so I couldn't help myself, and so I started watching season 3, and I must admit that it has been entertaining.
One thing I will give it, because one thing that when it comes to like the hard line, when you have the actors or creators when we're talking about we've talked about on several different shows where there have been legitimate criticisms, not because they don't hate the fans don't hate the actors or whatever.
They're not bigot, racist, homophobes.
Yeah, it's no, they're like, hey, I'm not really a big fan of the costumes, or this is not really how the story plays out. What was,
or it's kind of oh, this is a really this is a huge departure from what the character has been established to be like.
Right, and it's and with no explanation as to why they wanted to do that. It's just more of they just shit that out, and it's why would you do that? And it's not because they don't want to hate on it. They want to be why did you guys do that? Can you explain it? And then you get the actors or the creators or the directors spitting in the face of the fans, and it's that's where I draw a hard line at that, where it's you know what, I'm not gonna watch your stuff because honestly, I'm gonna watch you fail. And a lot of those shows where they do that, they fail. They don't last. They last maybe a season, if that. And I'm yeah, that's what you get. That's what you get for being a jerk off. And you hate the people that would have made your show popular, right? Picard is one of those series where I don't think that they've spit in the face of the fans. I think that they genuinely tried to do something. And it's just, for me, I'm just I don't. I would like an interesting, a different, type of Star Trek story or whatever. I like that. I like that universe. I like the stories that you can play around with. But for me, I was the Next Generation was done, man. I've gotten enough of those stories. I would have rather have seen them spend time maybe doing something else.
Right. Okay. Yeah, but before we get too far down the rabbit hole here, yeah, let's do a little catch up. What is it? Well, I'll start with me. This past weekend was relatively chill. I did helped out at my church's food bank that they put on first and third Saturdays of every month. It was actually it was interesting in that this past weekend was the first time that we got some. What it really was ingratitude. And maybe it's not, and I fully, I want to give the caveat, and maybe it's just a slight misunderstanding, but this woman was complaining about the system that we have in place, or to move people along in the line, and the words it's not fair, came out, and it actually, and it kind of took me back. And I mean, not that I think that I was like, oh, how dare she, and but it was like the first, because most of the time we have really good relationships with the people that come to the food bank, and we're trying we're trying to build relationships. We're trying to we're trying to we also try to share the gospel with them, but um, yeah, it really struck a nerve with me that and it was a person that that's been coming out here and there, not like not every single time that we have it, but like they've been coming out, and they've been uh enjoying the provision that that we're able to help distribute. And yeah, it just really rubbed me the wrong way.
I think it, like, in instances like that, you guys have been working with a lot of momentum. Things have been slowly building, and like kind of you've been working towards this like crescendo where good things are happening. Honestly, I see, like, not necessarily that woman in particular, but like that's where, like, the enemy is trying to really like use that woman in that sense. Someone who maybe doesn't come all the time, and it's like, yeah, it's where, oh, it, like I said, it struck a chord with you, like, and not in a good way, like where it's like you're like you don't really know how to react to that. Like inside, yeah, it's like, what do you? It's you're frustrated because, like, we're doing the best we can, like we're trying to help you guys, and it's like it's not like, it's kind of the old adage, like, beggars can't be choosers. All right, come on. It's like,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
but at the same time, like it's I think that is something where you have to gird yourself against that, like, because yeah, the jackass in me probably would have said something, but that's just
Yeah.
me.
Yeah, me too. And luckily I was able to catch myself, and they're like, because I would have just been like, okay, then leave, you know. But yeah, because
But
I
that's not
think,
the right response.
yeah, but that, of course, that's not the message we're trying to put out there. Um, and I because we have like switched up the format a bit. We now, before we used to we used to have people just like line up, and then like sign them in, and then they go through the, it's kind of like, it's kind of reverse conveyor belt. So we have all the foodstuffs, in place, and they just walk the line, and they grab, what they want, and then we also went the extra mile, and we even had like clothes out, for people to rummage through. And I guess this woman, she got like, and then now we hand out numbers, right? And we're trying to encourage people to hang around. Also we all we provide coffee and donuts and things like that, and just general like community atmosphere.
Right.
And I think and then I think I think she was complaining about how, like, why are you giving us numbers, and and maybe she had other things to do. Okay, I totally grant that. Um, but yeah, just like the spirit of ingratitude that that I heard in her voice. It pricked me. It
Yeah.
pricked me.
No, and you and I probably would have had the same reaction. It's like, listen, bitch, all right? Yes. But that's not the right response, okay?
Of course,
Like,
yeah. Okay, yeah. Okay, that was completely for comedic effect. Okay, we're not saying that we would abuse these people, verbally or physically.
no, of course not. And it's one of those things where, like I said, I really believe that it was not necessarily that woman specifically doing it. It is the enemy working within her to create division. And it's like, because that's gonna gum up the works, because you guys are doing something good for and it's not just doing good for good's sake. You have a mission in mind. Mm-hmm. You are doing what you feel that Christ wants you to do. And so, of course, the enemy is going to find ways to chip away at find some sort of weakness in the armor. Mm-hmm. And for me, like, people complaining about like free shit, it's like, well, then get the fuck out. But that's
yeah, I mean, yeah, it's like, because there's a grocery store, close by to my church, and I'd be like, well, there's a grocery store right there.
But I as I said, granted, I know that is not the right response.
Right. Yeah. Again, we know that is not the gruff kind of short reaction that we give. We know that's not the right answer. All right, it's all for comedic effect. I promise. Yeah.
So like I said, I think that's exactly what you were encountering there, and it's like, and it's part of it is like, we have to work on our reaction to those things. And it's like, okay, no, I'm not gonna, maybe internally, that's a struggle. You're almost like you're wrestling yourself. It's
right.
It's
yeah.
Like, no,
I have moments of ingratitude as well.
Oh hell yeah, I do too.
And so it's not as though that I don't recognize that that part of me in other people. Of course, I fully acknowledge that part of me. But I was in the, but my situation is different because I was in the place of kind of serving, but then also obeying my religious convictions.
It's like, I was trying to think of like a moment of like ingratitude I've had. It's like, well, I was at a Super Bowl party where I was.
that's reason. Okay, that's reasonable. All right, I'm not saying like you cussing out those people who brought vegetarian food.
No, not vegan.
Oh, food. Vegan. I'm sorry. Oh yeah, even worse, vegan. Even worse.
Hey, I'm all for like a little crudité platter, at the Super Bowl party, but like, but don't bring me like fake bullshit food. It's like, I just
Bring me vegan cheese, and what the even hell is vegan cheese?
Oh God. But yeah, I really think that's what you were. That was your challenge that day, is to like, how are you going to react to this? How, like, it was a test. And it's a way for division to be sowed between the community that you are trying to serve. And it's like, if you had reacted in a sour way, that could have done a lot of damage.
Right. Yeah, because it's like, because I could have damaged the reputation of my church. I could have reputation, and most importantly, I could have damaged the reputation of Christ.
Yeah, and exactly.
Because I mean, the church already doesn't have the greatest of reputations. It's like, it's the old joke where you have a buddy and he has a wife. It's like, I love you, but I hate your wife. And that's kind of the relationship with Christ and the church, because the church is the bride and Christ is the bridegroom. And so Jesus, man, I love you, but your wife sucks.
Hey, you know what? There's a lot of times where I feel the very same way. It's like, as a Christian too, I'm like, Jesus is awesome, but man, as the bride, we fucking suck.
Yeah, and I'm constantly fighting it, and then even amongst other believers too.
Yeah,
they're because like friends that go to, like, other churches and stuff. But I hear grumblings too about like people who are trying to get plugged in, or people who have been plugged in, and they're trying to maybe steer the church in a different direction, or more with in a direction that's aligned like biblically, and and there are those who are trying to get plugged into churches, and it's like it's so hard because of the culture there. It's like so hard to penetrate, and and just like this is like, and we're and then like the church is supposed to be welcoming and open, and all and malleable to teaching, but again, sometimes the wife just sucks.
Yeah, it's tough because I think that a lot of people want that. I think the majority of people want that, but I think like human nature sometimes like gets in the way.
Mm-hmm.
And similar to like what we were talking about last week about what some of your exploits with the homeless community, where you have all the like it's its own like set of communities on its own, and trust is very difficult to come by because that could cost you your life essentially. And I think in a similar way to maybe with like less stakes, that open welcomeness is also hard to come by. Like, because like you have a church that has been around for a while. You have a lot of like your regular members, and they fought really hard to be a community together. Now we have outsiders, and it's like it's really hard to like how are we going to incorporate? We are commanded to like have that type of community, and we are supposed to be welcoming to newcomers and finding a way to incorporate them within the community.
Mm-hmm.
But it is very difficult to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's that battle of human nature and like the Christ nature that we're supposed to live by.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, I sometimes like I've told you on several occasions where like I feel like I'm like this weird like in the middle person, because I didn't grow up at church, but I became a Christian later in life, and so I understand the world, like kind of like that community,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like, and at the same time, like but I am of the church, I'm part of that community, but and like I said, I understand the weaknesses of both, and it's like, but I
Right.
feel like I'm like
I feel.
not here,
I feel like
but I'm not there
I feel
either.
the same way you do. Yeah, you're a day walker.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. Yeah, I'm a day walker essentially.
Yeah. For those of you unaware, that
That's a Blade
reference. That's a Blade reference. The movie Blade. The Blade is a half human, half vampire hybrid, and he hunts vampires, and the vampires call him Daywalker because Blade has all of the vampires' strengths, but none of their weaknesses.
Which is awesome.
So yeah. That's what I was dealing with this past weekend. You got anything to share?
Well, let's see. I've watched a couple of like cool things this week. I rewatched Scream 6 because I this time I brought my wife with me. She's a fan of the franchise, so we got a chance to go watch the film together. Really enjoyed it. She really enjoyed it, which is good. And it's a film that I've watched twice, and I've enjoyed it both times. I think it kind of. I'm not sure where they're going to be able to go with the franchise moving forward, but so far not a bad film in the franchise.
Mm-hmm.
I watched this great war film. I've been kind of cruising Criterion quite a bit this past week.
Mm-hmm.
Watched The Steel Helmet, which is a great Korean war film from 1951. And I was actually I think it really portrays some of the horrors of war pretty well. Pretty intense film, and actually has a lot of the same actors from a film that we just reviewed called Shock Corridor. Has a lot of the same actors. Let's see, what else did I do? Oh, I had this really fun work function this on Sunday. We went to a restaurant, this Japanese barbecue restaurant, Gokyaku. It's I think it's just like a franchise within the Valley. But man, the meat quality is superb. And it's actually not that, it's not as expensive as you might think. It's like they have a couple of different like all you can eat options. Their highest tier is like $65 a person, which to be honest is not bad at all. Considering like all the stuff that you can get and the quality of it. But yeah, so like pretty much like my work. As far as like on the clerk side, we just ate our asses off.
Yeah, I'm aware of Yukaku. Yeah, I remember. If I remember correctly, they have a decent, or in the past they had a pretty good happy hour.
They do have a good happy hour, dude. The other thing about like you can get this giant like 34-ounce like beer for like $10, and it's draft beer too.
That's what's up.
That freaking mug, man, it's huge. It's funny. One of the waiters, because I was sharing it with my wife, and how tiny she is. She was had that thing. It's like the waiter's like, that beer is big, but like when you're holding it, it looks giant. Because the beer stein is bigger than her head.
Right.
Oh man, it was. We had a good laugh about that, but man, it was just good food, and I didn't eat for like for a whole day after that. Like I had to be rolled out of the restaurant. That's how much I ate. But yeah, like just what was the other thing on Criterion that I was watching? All right, I haven't finished it yet, but it's this Western epic called Heaven's Gate. It's starring Chris Christopherson, John Hurt, and Christopher Walken. I had never heard of it. I was like,
oh wow, yeah, synchronicity. Because we were just talking about Blade, and Chris Christopherson is actually in the Blade movies.
That's right. He is
Whistler.
Yeah, Whistler. It's like I totally forgot. Yeah, that's right. That is him. Oh my gosh. Yeah, this is a much younger version of Chris Christopherson. Is he still alive?
I think so.
He's got to be like 100 years old by now. Jesus.
Yep, still alive. 86 years old.
Jesus. Yeah. But yeah, it was just kind of that's right. I totally like blanked on that he was Whistler. Yeah. But yeah, no, it's so far it's pretty good. It's about like these it deals with like Western expansion and like a lot of the like immigrants coming from like Europe, so like like Russia and like a lot of these like Slavic countries. And you have a lot of like the hoity-toity establishment who's like, fuck the immigrants, and we're gonna we're gonna kill them and take our land back, and like they're a bunch of like bandits and thieves. And Chris Christopherson, he's part of that like what's the term I'm looking for, the erudite that erudite community, but like he has pretty much denounced them, and he actually does live and serves as a marshal to protect those people. And it's kind of like him trying to protect these people against against this community that's utilizing like government and God against them, and it's kind of interesting. It is. If you are looking for a fast-paced Western, this is not your movie. This is a very like it moves at a very slow
glacial speed. Okay.
Yes, it is a 3.5-hour movie.
Oh, jeez.
I'm at like 2 hours in, and it's taken me a couple of days on this one. It's like I said, I'm enjoying it, but it's not like something that you need. It's a very deliberate amount of time you need to spend on this.
All right.
Yeah, it's not. It's like considering like some of the other epics that we've done, it does move a little bit slower. Like, we did like Gone with the Wind. That's like 4 hours. We've done Cleopatra. That's almost 4 hours. Spartacus. This is a different type of like epic. There is a lot of moving pieces, and it's not a movie for everybody. But like I said, I'm enjoying it so far, and I like the actors that are in it. So.
All right.
But yeah, that's pretty much been my week. I've also been playing a lot of the. I've been continuing my playthrough of the Yakuza series. I'm playing Yakuza 2, and that game is just a lot of fun. It's just I like the story of this series. It's like this great like kind of Japanese crime drama, and then to kind of help like alleviate some of the seriousness, you have like a lot of these like side quests and mini games that you can play that are so like over the top ridiculous. So it gives a little bit of like comedic relief, which you definitely need, because the story is so dark and fucked up.
All right.
So I've been enjoying that too. But yeah, that's been my week. Not as fulfilling as yours, but I've enjoyed it.
Okay. All right. Great sharing. Great sharing. Let's get into the topics for discussion for tonight. Any preference of where you want to start?
Should we start with like the shit, or should we start with like something a little bit more fun?
I mean, what? I mean, what do you consider the shit?
Well, I mean, the whole idea of I think like the Trump potential arrest seems kind of like shitty.
Yeah. Okay, let's go with that. Let's start with that. I'm sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was because I'm still like trying to like wrap my head around like what exactly they're trying to go after him for.
If you'll allow me, basically it's just a redress of the federal case, which they're trying to go after him for misappropriation of campaign funds because his then fixer lawyer Michael Cohen paid off Stormy Daniels, and then Trump paid him back, and they're trying to say that he used campaign funds to reimburse Michael Cohen, calling the payments legal fees, but and then they investigated, and they found that there wasn't much there. Fast forward 4 years, I think. And the state of New York has now, specifically the New York City District Attorney, he takes up the case and says like, oh, well, we're gonna go after him for fraud, now. And
was that a man or a woman that's district attorney in New York?
Okay, yes, the District Attorney of New York City is a man. I forget what his name is, but but I do recognize it. But the state, the Attorney General of New York is Letitia James, and she is the one with like TDS and like said like, oh yeah, if I get elected, I'm going after Trump. That's how she got elected.
Yeah, which is what this seems to me, because from like the fucking get-go, even before she got elected, like her whole campaign was like, I'm gonna get this guy. It's like
I'm gonna get Trump. Yeah,
I'm gonna investigate him until I find something that I can like maybe manipulate, or which is what they've been doing the since 20 fucking 15. They've been going after this guy. Like,
it's very much the Soviet axiom. Show me the man and I'll give you the crime.
Yeah, it's just like, God, guys.
So yeah, they're dressing it up as now like it's some sort of fraud because you called the payoff legal fees, and like instead of like calling them what they really were, it's like who's gonna incriminate themselves and say like, oh yeah, this is a payoff.
Of course, yeah. Now, like I said, are some of the actions of Trump a little like, gross? Sure.
Well, morally, but like again, like in his famous, I think it was during the primaries, but he was basically saying like, you know why I pay less taxes? Because I'm smart, and because I follow the rules, and that's all he's doing. He's following the rules. He's following the rules that they set up and that they also play by.
Do you think that, like, let's say, because obviously he is trying to run in 2024, like it's like he already announced like his thing, like we all knew that he was running again. Mm-hmm. Had he like decided like, you know what, I think I'm done with this shit, like I'm getting too old, I don't care about it anymore. Mm-hmm. Do you think any of this shit would happen?
No.
Exactly. That is why these people hate him so much. And like I said, I think we have, been very fair, and we didn't necessarily like look at him with like rose-colored glasses. Mm-hmm. There have been things that Trump has done that I was like, yeah, I'm 100% for that. That's a good thing.
Yeah, we call it balls and strikes here.
Where I scratch my head, it's like, what the fuck are you doing, man? Like, the whole the jailbreak act that he did, I was like, why we don't, this is not helping anything.
Yeah, or the whole like bump stock thing and
act or whatever.
Well, yeah, and then like the bump stock thing, right? And then also like talking about red flag law, saying like, yeah, we should take away your guns, and then you should try and fight and get them back.
No,
like, what? No, that's not how it works.
Exactly.
Yeah, so don't think that we're Trump dick suckers over here. We call balls and strikes. All right.
And I've thought about, I was like, I'm a little concerned about his age. Like, I don't want to vote for the guy because he's a little too old for me. And it's like, if I think that Biden was too old, which he is, how can I vote for Trump at the same age? Like, yeah, I've been talking about like how like we need to stop voting in like, octogenarians to the White House and to like, governmental positions. Like, I'm sorry, you're too old. And it's not because like it's not out of like disrespect. It's not like they've lived I wouldn't say prosperous lives, but they've accomplished something at least, like but it's just like, yeah, but no, you're way too old. You need to like step aside, retire. Maybe you don't have to retire, but like you can't run the country. I'm sorry, you're just no.
Right. I mean, can you still be a prominent figure within politics? Yeah. Can you mentor some of the new politicians? Of course. But yeah, like you being like center stage and still giving speeches on the floor of the Senate or wielding the speaker's gavel and stuff. Yeah, it's done. No.
Yeah. No, I mean, like, is Trump still like pretty virile? It certainly seems so.
I mean, compared to Biden, yes. Compared to Biden, yes.
Yeah. This Blu-ray case is more virile than Joe Biden. Okay.
Yeah.
It's like, but yeah, it's like the reason why this is happening is they hate this man. And it's just like I have never seen so much dude, like it's laughable.
Yeah, I mean,
The
just like
what I
just pure venom that these people like spit at him is just mind-boggling.
like I literally like saw several like Twitter people that I follow that like I talk because I talk to a bunch of like movie people, and some of those people are clearly of the TDS variety, but which is fine. I don't really care about that so much. But like they literally have been like posting for like the last few days, like where they are taking the day off of work, and it's like I got my like champagne celebration ready to go. It's like what the fuck are you doing? Like you're literally like you're so excited that he's gonna get arrested. Like, come on. He's affected. I can't understand. This person has like driven you so crazy. He's affected your life so much that like it's gotten ridiculous.
Yeah, Trump lives rent free in all of their heads.
Now, do I like Joe Biden? No, but you know what? I also don't do. I don't spend every waking moment thinking about like how Joe Biden is fucking up the country. It's like, and to be honest, there's been all sorts of politicians that have been fucking up the country for 100 years.
Yeah, and also maybe worry more about a fucking dog catcher in in where in your city that goes around and fucking picking up whatever dog and immediately euthanizing them. Maybe that's a little bit more. I think that has a little bit more bearing on your life. Especially if if you have a dog owner than when fucking what the president does.
Yeah, I'm more focused on like if I was gonna focus on a political thing, I'm a little concerned about like our roads that we have here. Like that's a pretty serious issue, and like our fucking tax situation is just we're getting taxed. Maybe not quite as much as like New York City, but we're getting taxed up the ass in this state. It's ridiculous, and there's no reason.
Absolutely.
And like none of the money that is coming from like our taxes is going to the things that it's supposed to be going to.
Yeah, it doesn't benefit us. If anything, it benefits newly arrived illegal immigrants or illegal aliens.
That's a little bit more concerning for me.
I mean, just think about during COVID times, like they said that your kids couldn't go to school, but then they paid teachers to go and do school work with newly arrived border hoppers.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I remember that. And here's the other thing that I'm a little bit more. I'm more invested in like hearing about what you're doing with like mobile shower. That because I think that is a more and like what's been what's going on with our the homeless community that's out here. Like what are like I said, you've done way more than the government ever will.
I mean, like two success stories that I can think of is one, like he passed away recently, but one elderly man who was coming out to the showers pretty frequently. He was able to get himself into housing, right?
That's great.
Yeah, and then another kind of closer to my age, he was able to get himself together, got a job. Got himself renting out a room in a house.
That's fucking great. That's such a great success story. That these like that's the stuff that we need to hear about. That affects me more than like what Joe Biden is not what's going on in his jelly head. Mm-hmm. It's like I don't waste my time with things that don't affect me. Like, as cruel as it might sound, I don't give a fucking shit about Ukraine or Russia. I hate that we're sending money over to Ukraine. I mean, that affects me, but honestly, like it is. as bad as I feel for the regular citizens in both those countries, I really don't give a shit.
Right. I mean, and if anything, it's a completely internal issue because the whole invasion was um, territory within the Ukraine that was predominantly ethnically Russian. And you're like,
Yeah.
hey, you know what? We want to go back. We want to get back to the motherland. And so I think they even they did try and vote to rejoin Russia. But but the Ukrainian government is the one that stepped in. It's like, no, 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 you're with us.
Yeah, like I said, Zelensky is not the savior of the fucking world. I've been hearing that all. It's like, oh my god, just stop. He's not. It's
Yeah,
like
the feigning and the fawning it's all become a bit much.
yeah, but yeah, going into like the whole Trump thing, it's like it's so stupid. I'm so like I'm just it's laughable at this point of how much these people hate him, and the only reason that they're going after him, like I said, there's a lot of things that he's done that I didn't like. There's things that he's done that I did really like. I think overall he was a decent president. I don't think that he destroyed the country. You could argue with some of the allowing Fauci to, run rampant and like the little elf that he is. That definitely put a huge dent in a lot of things, and probably had he not allowed that to happen, we wouldn't be in the situation we are now. We probably would be in the second Trump term. Because the way that COVID was taken in, all these, the way that voting completely changed. It was already like kind of corrupt, but like now it's just full blown. Like, and once these people get power, they're not gonna try to, change the laws to make it right.
Of course not. There's the government. They'll never, there'll never be. Government is an insatiable animal. There's not a point where government gobbles up and is like, I'm full. That's enough. No, it's a conveyor belt, just constantly, going down the gullet.
Yeah, it's
insatiable. Government's
bingo.
insatiable appetite for power. They're never gonna be full. They're never gonna be satisfied with whatever power that they do have. They always want more. And so it's our job. It's our job as citizens. It's our job as interested actors to voice our displeasure or voice our opposition. But I would like to also add, let's say that you're still in the Trump camp. You're still rocking MAGA. Do not go and protest for this man. Okay? Do not do it.
If you do.
You are a fucking idiot, and you deserve to go to jail.
No, let the FBI be there to protest.
Yeah. All right. Because guess what? Because whether you're there or not, they're gonna try to honeypot. They're gonna try to honeypot you. I promise you, there's gonna be more feds outside the New York courthouse than actual protesters. Okay.
Yeah. If I was gonna bring that up too, I was like, yeah, that is the absolute dumbest fucking thing to do.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, if you think Trump cares about you, he doesn't. All right. He doesn't. He doesn't give two fucking shits about you. All right. Because we know this because there are still January 6th protesters still in jail. All right. Trump pardoned freaking Lil Wayne and Kodiak Black and fucking Jewish spy. Israeli spy over the January 6th protesters. Right before he left, he could have been like, I pardon all these guys. But no. And
he chose not to.
He chose not to. All right? Let's just be 100% here. All right, he did not. He could have pardoned all those guys, right? But he didn't. He didn't. All right, and he's not paying for he's not paying for their legal fees. The ones still in prison. All right, he did pay for the fees or whatever for the witnesses for that came forward, in support, during the whole January 6th, kangaroo court. That's it. He's not paying for like the QAnon shaman's legal fees. He's not paying for, you know, I'm sure he hasn't even talked to Ashli Babbitt's mom, who got arrested protesting her own daughter's murder. And you might think that that's a strong word, but look at that footage, and like no other. All right, you tell me that's not a murder. All right.
It is. Oh God, yeah, it is.
I mean, I know, particularly like BLM, activists. They'll like proclaim like, oh, the cops murdered, murdering black people. It's like, and then you see the evidence, and you see like, the guy kind of resisting and fighting back, and then or in the case of like, who's that guy, that stole the taser from that guy and like turned back to shoot it at cops. It's like, he's kind of asking for it. But like Ashli Babbitt, like, what was she doing? She was standing there, and like there were accounts saying that she was actually, telling people to not, go into the building and not go into the building, and she was killed, murdered.
Probably because of that.
Exactly. I mean, again, I don't know like what specifically happened, but she was killed. All right, she was killed at the hands of a policeman. Right? If it was a BLM person or it was a black person, we would already know this person, that cop's badge number. Not in this case, an unarmed woman, and then she was also a veteran, because I think she was in the Air Force. She gets killed by police and no one says anything.
Yeah. So if you have two brains, two brain cells rubbed together, don't go and fucking protest at this thing. Just don't do it.
Just don't.
Like our favorite quote from Admiral Akbar is like, it's a trap. Yes.
Right. Don't do it. It's a full-on honey trap, because even like, okay, and especially don't go alone. Be like, no, I gotta support this man, and blah blah blah. It's like, don't go as a large group, but don't especially go as an individual person, because no one there will have your back, and more often than not, it'll be a fucking fed honey trap. All right, they're gonna get your information. They're gonna be able to, they're gonna like ping your cell phone, and then they'll be tracking you, for the rest of your life.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, yeah, if you're gonna go, like, God forbid, if you have to go, wear one of those damn like Balenciaga masks that like Kanye was wearing, and don't bring your cell phone. Nope. Don't bring anything like electronic signatures or anything like that. Just nothing in your pockets. Wear a fucking like, mask that no one did, so that you can't.
I mean, you don't even have to wear a mask, but just don't wear anything that's like remotely like political, or just dress how you normally would dress. All right, yeah. No special MAGA scarves or hats, no nothing, no red, white, and blue, motifs. Just go. You can go and watch the show, but yeah, like Rob was saying, keep your phone at home. All right, because they will. Yeah.
Don't even have it on you, whether it's off or not.
Yeah, exactly. Just like leave your phone at home.
But God, you're an idiot if you go down to protest. I'm sorry. It's like that's just, they've already done this one before. They're gonna do it again. I guarantee that they will, like, oh well, so and so, why were you over here at this time? Like, blah blah blah. It's like, really?
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, like in what is it? What was that movie? Like, was that 1,000 Mules, or what was that? What was that Dinesh D'Souza movie?
2,000 Mules.
2,000 Mules. Yeah, 2000. Like,
yeah.
Dude, they were able to find these people through their cell phones. All right.
Wait, now, like I said, in that case,
do you not think that the feds don't have that technology?
Of course they do. Here's the thing: like in that case, what they were doing, which is unfortunately is legal to do, and that's scary by itself.
Yeah.
That was actually that technology being used for good, but these people don't want to use it for good. And we've already seen like the damage that it's done with like these January 6 people who have been essentially held without trial for a few years now, and no sort of like really, no speedy trial. And I mean, they are held in a place where these people don't, they're
substandard conditions.
Yeah, a trial of their peers, bullshit. Those people don't like represent, and this is why, like, in the people who have been successful in like going against that is where they have done the judge appeals, like where they've like superseded, like where like they have gone against, like, I don't want a jury, but I want to plead my case to the judge. Those
right,
people,
yes, like what is it? Summary decision or something.
Yeah, something, I forget what it's called, but it's like, and which I didn't actually know you could do, but yeah, the people who have been doing that have been much more successful, and because the people that live in that area, they hate those people. So it's like and it's gonna be the same fucking thing here. This is what and yeah, it's just, I think this whole thing is stupid. I think it's gonna result in a bunch more people getting arrested that shouldn't even be in jail, that have done nothing wrong. And yeah, it's just gonna be a huge fucking disaster. And they're calling, oh, look at this the coup d'etat against the country. Oh, these Trumpsters. This is gonna be the worst thing in the world. It's like, stop it. Just don't even fucking participate at this point. One, the guy is not the president, like, and I don't think it's right that he should be arrested.
He doesn't deserve your loyalty, all right? Because he hasn't been loyal to us. He hasn't been loyal to his like most he hasn't been loyal to his most like devoted followers.
Here's the other thing too, is like what people are like, you don't idolize or revere politicians. They hate you. They don't, and I don't think that Trump.
No. They either hate you or they're completely indifferent to you.
I would say he's more in the indifferent camp, and that's fine. I don't expect these people to be like, oh, I love each and every one of my constituents, and I eventually I'm going to answer every one of their letters or tweets or blah blah. No, it's just they don't have the time for that. I am fine with indifference. It doesn't bother me whatsoever. And to be honest, if they hate me, it's like, well, guess what? The feeling's fucking mutual, buddy. I don't like you either. I don't like that I have to pay you because you suck at your job. In most cases, you suck at your job. And like I was, like I said, as opposed to what we've had, like, for 30, 40 years prior to Trump, he was better than that. He's better than his predecessor, who was not even like a living human being. He's just like a shell. But yeah, it's just like, but at the same time, it's like, I'm not like, well, I don't have MAGA stuff. I don't have like Trump flags and all this. It's like, I'm not, dude, like, no. Even though I voted for the guy twice, but I don't have like MAGA stuff and like, like Trump flags in my house. Like, I don't have any of that shit because, one, I don't idolize fucking he is a politician. Like, he even like he's like, oh my god, I hate to admit it, but yeah, I guess I am a politician. It's like, yes, you are.
Yeah, as soon as you jump into the swamp, you become a swamp creature. All right, once you dive yourself into politics, you're a politician.
Yeah, and it's like I don't.
Right?
I don't
like and he's no longer the outsider. All right, he's an insider. He's been in there. All right,
exactly.
and even look at he had the chance to be a true outsider and hire all like new outsider people. Right? Who does he align himself with? Lindsey Graham, fucking Turtle Man.
Lindsey Graham, my God, one of the worst.
Who's the minority leader in the Senate?
Mitch
McConnell. Mitch McConnell. Yeah, Turtle Man. Mitch McConnell. Fucking, he aligned himself with Paul Ryan of all fucking people. He brought in John Bolton. Okay, he brought in fucking Mike. He brought in
establishment like jackasses.
Yeah, he brought in Mike Pompeo, former CIA director. Like a deep stater. Come on, he's not an outside. He's not an outside candidate. He's not an outsider. He didn't line himself with outsiders. He lined himself with swamp creatures.
Which is why he's in the problems that he is in right now. Because the swamp creatures hate him, and like you tried to become the Swamp Thing, and like it fucking failed.
Exactly, yeah. Like he thought that he could throw them all under the bus and be like, oh yeah, but like say, oh no, we're cool. No, the deep state has a long memory.
I would love for like you said, a true outsider to come in and fucking fire all of these people and start over.
Yeah.
Because like I said, the structure is still there. The foundation is still there. The problem is we got
good bones. We got good bones.
The bones
all right?
fine still. But like
the foundation is strong, the bones are good. We just gotta do a little reno and demo.
Exactly.
That's all that's all we need.
It needs to be stripped to the bones, and we need to start over. Let's find some good people and then not allow them to be there for 500 years.
Exactly. Yeah. As as a wise man once said, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, can't be fooled again.
Oh. Oh man, that's good. Good old
W. Good old W.
Hey, you know what? As much as I didn't like him that much, like he has some of these like fucking one-liners. I was like, that's fucking great. It's just like he really did not like his sayings were so like I don't think you know the saying.
Yeah. Or just like him like just coming up with words like strategery.
Strategic. Like I said, I have to admit, pretty funny. Just
pretty funny guy. Yeah. I mean that's why when people said like when people I would tell people like, yeah man, I love Trump, he's my favorite comedian.
Yeah.
Because he was funny. Because he was legit. Trump is legitimately funny.
He is. He's really funny.
Yeah. That's why when people ask me, oh, who's your favorite comedian? Back during those times, I'd be like, oh yeah, Donald Trump. It's my favorite comedian.
Dude, he would just have like some of these, and he's a quick.
Yeah, he's quick on his feet. He's quick on his feet.
Yeah, it's like okay, that's pretty fucking funny. It's like it's harsh, but it's like that's sorry, that's funny right there. Was it Larry the Cable? He's like, I don't care what I was like, that's funny right there. So I'm sorry, that's funny right there. But yeah, don't go and protest, guys. Come on, just stop it. You're running.
This man does not deserve our loyalty.
And at the same time, like what he's going through, it's all bullshit. Because he is a threat to, or at least they think that he's a threat to their power, and they hate him. and they will do anything that they can. If they have to make it up, if they have to, they will. Even if it's like this, like if he jaywalked, they would fucking throw him into prison if they could. That's the level of hatred that they have for this guy.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
When you have like presidents, like when you have Joe Biden and his family who have been just selling secrets to other countries, you have Hillary Clinton, well, and the Clintons in general. I mean, just killing people left and right because they had dirt on them.
No. They're just extremely unlucky. All right, anyone could fall down an elevator shaft and land on like 7 bullets. All right, it happens all the time, Rob. It happens all the time.
He tied his hands behind his back and shot himself in the head twice. I mean, that's a suicide to me.
Yeah, with 2 different calibers.
Yeah.
Happens all the time.
Oh, it's like, how unlucky. Like, all these people are just like, all their best friends just died.
Yeah, it's have like the worst luck. Just the worst luck.
Yeah, just. And then you even have like George H.W. Bush, and it's just so much like corruption and just yeah, it's a lot of shitty presidents that we've had. More shitty than good.
Yeah, Calvin Coolidge is the only cool one.
He might be my favorite president. Actually.
Calvin Coolidge is the best one. All right. I'll fight anyone about this.
I heard this story that like that Biden is vetoing his first bill in office. It's like this is the first one. He should be vetoing everything. We don't have any money. We are broke as a country. Like, why are we like doing anything that like costs any money? Like, nope.
Yeah, nope. I mean, yeah, especially with all the inflation and stuff going on right now. It's like, no, we need to stop spending money. All right, that $3 million of pens that the Senate is always getting. Stop that shit right now.
Yeah.
The balloons for whoever's like retirement party. Stop it right now. All right, stop that order.
They can pay that shit for themselves. Good God.
What was it like? What was this? What was the statistic? Something like the Congress spends like $3 million a minute.
Good.
Yeah, something to that effect.
Yeah, that shit needs to fucking end today.
Yeah, but don't hold your breath. For Trump getting indicted or whatever. I don't know if it's gonna happen. It could be just a huge.
Like I said,
it could be a huge campaigning strategy where people say, oh, like my fellow Americans, all right, they're coming after me. I need your help. All right, you need to donate to my campaign. It's gonna be huge.
Here's the thing: he's gonna be fine. He's gonna run for president in 2024. I'm sorry to say. Probably gonna win the nomination. I assume.
Yeah. Yeah. I just might pass on the whole voting thing this 2024.
DeSantis,
at least for president.
Yeah, DeSantis would be the only one I think that could potentially beat him. I think with this whole thing, it's not going to happen. I think it is going to end up being Trump that wins this thing, and then we'll see at that point. Because if Biden is still fucking stumbling around, who knows? And with the way that like the voting works now, fuck, it's anybody's game, to be honest.
If Republicans really want to win, then they have to start adopting the tactics of the Democrats, and one of them, at least like that's been proven useful, is the ballot harvesting. Particularly, like there have been examples here, oddly enough, in Southern California, where a lot of the red counties, like Orange County and what have you, they've been set, or like in the red in the other red counties, they set up the ballot harvesting locations at churches, at gun stores, and they've been using the same tactic as the Democrats, and they just been ballot harvesting, and to great effect because what is it they like one of the seats in Congress it got flipped from blue to red. All on this ballot harvesting strategy.
See, that's the thing. Is we probably need to adopt those tactics, and if we actually do, and this is a thing where how politics works is like the problem is though then once they get all the power, are they gonna like be willing to like no, we're gonna like cut that shit off? No, probably not. That's the problem. This is probably one of those things where like we're never gonna get the toothpaste back in the tube.
Yeah.
This is who can steal the most votes the best.
Yeah. I mean, it may have been like that all along, right? But now the fig leaf is gone, and now we know. We know.
Oh yeah, that dick is exposed.
Before we could point and laugh at every like third-rate banana republic, like, look at and they talk about like their election results, and the dictator in power that's been in power for 30 years, like, oh, what a surprise, he won again. But like, but now after what was it 2020, we're no different.
We're the same.
We're the same. Now it's just out there and everyone knows it. Before, where it's like, we kind of suspected, that this is happening, but not at the level that we, that we probably knew. But now, like, when you saw the count, right, and at 12 midnight, it was neck and neck, and then all of a sudden at 2 a.m. there's this huge vertical spike for Biden. The fig leaf is gone.
Man,
we are no better. We are no better than any third-rate banana republic around the world.
All those super passionate Biden voters, right? They just it just happened that they got that. Man, all those like late, no, we got to beat Trump, and like they came in at like the last second and just like voted. It's like, yeah, right.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking of this too, like, because I've always kind of like wrestled with the idea is like, do I just like leave California or whatever, and like I go to a place that's like maybe a little bit more conservative or better. But here's the thing is like what I'm thinking is like eventually, like, yeah, it might be conservative for a moment, but it's more of like eventually like the federal government is just going to end up like running a ramshot over everything, and it's like there's not going to be a state government anymore. It's just going to be the federal government.
But what also you have to remember, if you are having that idea, then that means at least 10 deep blue voting people had the same idea and are thinking of the same thing.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter, and they're gonna bring their politics, the way that they vote, to wherever you're gonna go to.
That's a fucking scary thought, to be honest. But like, eventually, what's gonna happen is that it's just gonna be. I think eventually, at some point, maybe not within our lifetime, but sometime soon after that, I don't think that there's gonna like the idea of states like kind of like running themselves with like with us being as a united country. That shit's gonna end. It is gonna be a federal government overseeing everything,
well,
and that's where
technically that ended after the Civil War.
That is true, but it's still like
because before people forget, but the United States is a voluntary union. All right, there and like in some states even had clauses in them to say like, oh, if we don't like it, in the United States anymore, we're like Texas has that. Texas had that clause in that if they ever felt like that that the United States was no longer to their being a part of the Union was no longer to their benefit, they'd break out.
Yeah. There's going to be like one of two things that happens where people realize that they still have like, it is like I think it still is a voluntary thing. Like, there is still those clauses within the Constitution. Mm-hmm. And I think we either gonna like come to a point of the country like where we just like, listen, I don't believe in these rules and laws. Fuck you. I am leaving. I am leaving the Union. We will serve as our own country. And I think that, or we end up, it kind of ends up, we're no longer the United States, but it's like some sort of split, and it's all kind of fucked up and weird. And essentially that makes us weak. Or what's going to happen too, or the other thing that I think is going to happen is essentially the federal government is just going to like overwhelm everything, and there's no more state governments. It's just the federal government.
Right.
And because it's too big, it's way too big and like over bloated, it's going to collapse in on itself, and then we become weak again. It's one of those two things.
Yeah. I mean, you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
So it's just like
I think kind
of a weird spot, and maybe that's a dark way of thinking about things, but I see shit like this going on, like with the whole like Trump thing. Is like that's kind of we're at such a weird. I think we're way past any sort of like semblance of what the idea of the United States was supposed to be. Like it's not. We're not even in the same universe anymore.
Yeah, I mean, the average Republican and the average Democrat share very little in common anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, Trump. Yeah, I don't suspect Trump will be indicted.
No, I don't either.
And don't be a jackass and go and protest for him. It'll just end up hurting
you. I think you said it best. Like it's like, unless there's like an actual civil war that we need to fight in, I'm not fighting that fight. Like there's better.
If like shit pops, if shit were to actually pop off, yes, and the fight came to my doorstep, then yes, I would fight. And maybe that means I'm fighting my neighbors, but
there are other fights that are much more consequential to us that we need to like take care of. And you're doing one of those things. You are, you're not doing it with violence. You are doing it out of love, serving the homeless community. You're doing, like I said, that is a fight.
Mm-hmm.
You're doing something.
I surely am.
So yeah, it's just, we're in a weird spot. I thought this story, I'm sure there's a lot of other people that are talking about this story today, and I was like, well, a potential arrest of a former president seems kind of consequential. We should probably talk about it, which we did. And I think that we probably came at it in a very different way than everyone else has.
I like to think so. All right. With that topic out of the way, let's get into the next topic. And we teased it a little bit in the beginning, but the Mandalorian season 3 and Picard season 3. Initially Mandalorian came out pretty strong. They're telling a interesting story with compelling characters. And they had a strong first season, and then second season was second season was good as well. Some behind the scenes shenanigans were happening. With kind of like the at the executive level with like Kathleen Kennedy kind of like sticking her fingers in.
Because she doesn't like that. Oh, they can tell a good Star Wars story and they don't have to be all like woke and crazy. Oh well, I can't allow that.
Right. It's like, oh, how dare a show not keep up the message. And then the season 2 was fraught with scandal. One being like the ceremonious firing of Gina Carano,
who was great in the show, by the way.
Yeah, she was I liked her character, and I was really looking forward to seeing her character develop more and what is it? Her own spin-off show, something like Rangers of the New Republic or something.
Yeah, it was gonna. I was gonna watch that too because I was like, that sounds awesome because I like this character, and I think similar to other people in her, I kind of liken her to like Dave Bautista, where it's like she started off with like maybe a little on the weak side, acting, a little weak on the acting side, but it takes time. Like you're coming from like a sports entertainment, UFC background. So you're not an actor. It takes time to develop that skill. But she was definitely developing that, just like Dave Bautista has. Dave Bautista is he's become a really good actor, actually.
Actually, I would say that it's not necessarily bad performances from Dave Bautista, but I think squandered potential. Because even in the interviews, he stated as much. Because I think like the Drax from the first Guardians of the Galaxy to Drax to the second, and even into like Infinity War were completely different Draxes.
Oh, absolutely.
In the first one, Drax was more of like a serious kind of like stoic type. But then the second and into Infinity War, he became the clown. But there was so much potential to develop his character because he had a compelling backstory as well. He was this fierce warrior whose family was killed by uh, uh, Ronan, who was an underling of Thanos, and then he realizes that his family is only dead not just because of Ronan, but because of ultimately Thanos, and so he turns his sight over to try and kill Thanos. But then in the second movie, he just became the comic relief, and he talking about farts and thinking that he can become invisible. It's completely disjointed.
It got a little like I said, I still like the character, but it's like I wanted to see like more of like what the serious side. I wanted to see like what they would develop with that because I think that would have been really interesting. And I don't know if you watched the movie. Was it what the hell was it? Knock at the Cabin or like whatever the new M. Night Shyamalan movie that just came out not that long ago.
I haven't.
Yeah, well, the movie is okay. I would have liked to have seen it gone a different direction. The one thing that is not a problem in the movie is the acting performances from everybody involved. Dave Bautista in that movie is really good, and I was like, I saw a level of acting from him. I was like, I didn't know he had that gear, and he was awesome. The movie didn't suffer because of Dave Bautista.
Right. Okay. Yeah, kind of got off the track here, but so yeah, Gina Carano unceremoniously fired, but we did get the awesome return of Luke Skywalker in what we all like imagine like we probably when we were kids, when we were playing with like Luke Skywalker action figures, like how he would be like him as a warrior.
What we should have gotten in the sequel trilogy.
Yes. And so, and then into season 2.5, because we got the Book of Boba Fett, but then because of Robert Rodriguez and Kathleen Kennedy screwing that shit up, Jon Favreau had to take 2 episodes of The Mandalorian season 3 and inject them into Book of Boba Fett.
Easily the best episodes of that.
Interestingly enough, the best episodes of the Book of Boba Fett did not have Boba Fett in those episodes.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, we were all excited for the Book of Boba Fett. Like, it was because when we saw him in, make an appearance in season 2.
Yeah, season 2 Mandalorian, where he came in and like was messing stormtroopers up. We were expecting that Boba Fett, but what we got was completely different.
Oh my! And like when the show came out, it's like, I mean, there were things that I liked about it, sure, but I was like, wow, this is really disappointing.
Mm-hmm.
And because I think that Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau had an idea, and they were going a certain direction, and because of like interference in other ways, like, this is not what we wanted, and it was shit.
Mm-hmm. And the disappointing reuniting of the Mandalorian and Grogu. Because I think people did want to see Mando back as like kind of like the gunslinger, right? But instead, no, he gets reunited with Grogu and he becomes, the father again. Which, I don't like mind so much, but I would rather it have been that, Grogu stayed with Luke Skywalker, because then that would have been, and I think Kathleen Kennedy was the one to instigate this, but she knew that if Grogu became Luke Skywalker's first student, then it would completely undermine the sequel trilogy, in which it stated that Kylo Ren was Luke Skywalker's first student.
Oh, see, I see what you're saying. My hope, like, now, maybe because I'm a little bit optimistic, what I was thinking is like that maybe we're gonna see Grogu become a Mandalorian himself.
Mm-hmm. Which honestly, I don't even mind that either.
To be honest, I really hope that happens, that he becomes a Mandalorian.
Mm-hmm.
But you're probably 1000% correct that it's just because of her fucking ego that she can't get over that. It's like, because she thinks that her movies are awesome and they're not.
I really think there was a plan by Favreau and Filoni to undermine the sequel trilogy and make them non-canon.
Yeah.
And one of the first steps was to have Grogu be Luke Skywalker's first student, which would totally go against what we get in the sequel trilogy, particularly in Force Awakens, when they say like, oh yeah, Kylo Ren was Luke Skywalker's first student.
Oh, God.
But anyways,
but as of right now, like the first episode of season 3, I agree with you, was a little weak. Mm-hmm. So, but since then, it has definitely picked up. I've enjoyed the last 2 episodes of The Mandalorian. Mm-hmm. I'm looking forward to the episode that's coming out like at tomorrow. Mm-hmm. I'll be watching it. I'll be watching the whole season. So yeah, because like I said, I'm enjoying it so far, but I know it's not doing very well.
Right.
And
Yeah, I
I
mean,
think
particularly the last episode where it starts off with a continuation of Mando's story, but then it diverts into, you know, like side quest into, day in the life of Dr. Pershing in the New Republic. Which I wouldn't mind, but is like the whole bait and switch about, you know, Bo-Katan and Mando, uh, kind of discussing like the events of of Mando's baptism, and then all of a sudden it diverting into, what is it? Mando's baptism and Bo-Katan seeing the Mythosaur. A creature who's long thought to have been extinct, and kind of like the symbol for all Mandalorians. If you notice on Boba Fett's armor, you see that skull with the tusks. Yeah, that's the Mythosaur. But then again, like I said, it diverted into this side story about Dr. Pershing and like his integration into the New Republic, and how the New Republic was was definitely going the Nelson Mandela route and trying for reconciliation with former Imperial officers and asset and soldiers. But I think it really derailed from the Mandalorian story. And I think it could have been better, if they just focused on Mando. Well, I don't. Well, again, I don't mind seeing that other side of the New Republic, and how they're trying to reintegrate former Imperial personnel and soldiers and what have you. It actually takes a pretty dark turn, in that that they use what effectively is in our universe shock therapy.
Yeah.
So it's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, like the new, it's kind of like the New Republic is not really all that good.
Mm-hmm. And while maybe they use it at lower levels, it ultimately still is shock therapy.
Yeah. Well, and of course, like the what's her face, who was also a former Imperial
officer,
soldier. She manipulated things to essentially erase that guy's memory. And he's probably going to be either, if not dead, a vegetable.
Yeah. Question: Do you think that she was working on behalf of the New Republic, or was she just an double agent? She's like still working for the remnants of the Imperials.
She's a double agent. There's no doubt about it. It's just like, for me, I'm like, there's something about her. I was like, nope, I don't trust her for 1 second, because she was not a good person. She was not a good person in like the earlier episodes that we see her in.
Right.
And then she's clearly not, like, she's just doing the same thing with a new face in this version, because she sold that guy out. Like, she essentially, like, because
right,
it was to deflect attention away from herself.
Because she wanted to have the cover of being like, oh, see, I'm useful to you guys in this particular way. But at the end, I think it's even more powerful, because she took out one of those Imperial like ration biscuits.
Yep.
And so that's and I think that's the dead giveaways. Like, yeah, like she may wear the uniform of the New Republic, but secretly she's Imperial.
Yeah, she's still like, I think she's working to try to get like Moff Gideon out of whatever his situation is.
Right, and also I think like what I think Pershing is more valuable than we initially thought, and so I think like she was trying to make sure that his secrets didn't become the Republic's secrets.
Bingo. Yep, I think that's exactly what she was doing. Mm-hmm. So I think, like I said, that story I think is going to become like much more important later on in the series. We just don't really know exactly how that's going to work out. So at the time it does feel like kind of like, because you're so invested with like Bo-Katan and Mando and Grogu, and it's like, why the fuck are we going to this story? But then this is also going on at the same time in this story, so it does play a part, and this is why, like, I hope it's not just 3 seasons. I hope we do get a continuation of these stories that they're working on, but maybe not at the same like disappointing level that like Boba Fett was.
Oh, another question. Who owns the Darksaber?
So technically, it is Mando's, or Din Djarin is really his name.
Right.
But he is technically, he owns it by right. However, he does not know how to use that damn thing. Bo-Katan is the one that knows how to use it. She's probably used it before, but through.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah. If you've seen Rebels, yeah, you know what's up.
Yeah, but so it, because of like the creed and the rights and like all the stuff that the Mandalorians have in their lore, Mando is the rightful owner, but he doesn't know what he's doing with that thing.
Right, but I only asked this because I think a lot of people gloss over this, but the whole thing about like who owns the Darksaber is that you have to win it in combat, right?
Right.
And if you want to look at it, Mando lost the fight to that that cyborg bug looking thing, right? He gets captured. He starts. He gets pumped.
But he didn't. It was not a. The Darksaber itself was not on the line. It's one of those things where like it's kind of like he was not being officially challenged for the Darksaber.
Well, technically, but technically, Mando wasn't challenging Moff Gideon for the saber either.
True.
Right. So he gets beaten by the cyborg bug creature, and then Bo-Katan comes and beats the shit out of him. So doesn't that technically mean she is the rightful wielder of the Darksaber?
That's a great question. This is one of those things I'm gonna have to consult the Star Wars Theory channel on YouTube for this very question, because I actually don't know. And I know this guy knows a lot more about this, like about the lore.
Right. Yeah. All right. And I'm going off because because I don't know if I don't think a lot of people were at all talking about this, but it's like, yeah, because in season 2, Mando wasn't going against Moff Gideon because he was challenging Moff Gideon for the right for leadership of the of the Mandalorians and or ownership of the Darksaber. He was just Moff Gideon was just in his way, and he happened to beat him, and so he then gets the claim to the saber.
Here, I think here's the difference. Moff Gideon and Mando, they knew that they were going to fight. it was just gonna happen. It wasn't some like it wasn't that like Mando like did some sort of weird like surprise attack on him and captured him. Like what happened to him in the Mandalorian mines, that's to me that is like that's like
well, okay, but technically Mando didn't think he was gonna fight either. He thought that Moff Gideon made him think that he could take Grogu and go, but then Moff Gideon a surprise attacked him.
But it's different because like he could still see, like Moff Gideon was still in front of him. It wasn't like he's like coming up under the ground and like it's some sort of like weird spring trap.
But then again, it goes back to what Moff Gideon said. It's like, oh, it's about the story. You can't have the saber unless you have a story.
Yeah, you might be right. I like I said.
Well, I bring this up. I'm a strong proponent of this because I think what happens at the end of season 3 or the episode 3 is when Bo-Katan is then accepted into the covert of the Children of the Watch, and they accept her as one of her own, and ultimately we know that she wants to be a leader again. Oh, one of her ways to reclaim that position is to say, I beat the creature that beat Mando, so I should have the Darksaber.
Now that is potentially going to be a storyline. The Darksaber story is not ended,
right?
For like 100%. And we already know she knows how to use that damn thing.
Yeah.
Mando does not. And your line of theory here is correct. Yeah, she does have a claim. Now, what's going to probably happen is that because this is like the creed that Mando follows is an ancient creed, they are probably going to have them combat one another. And the person that wins out on that combat is probably going to be the owner of that Darksaber. And you know that Bo-Katan is going to potentially win out. Because, yeah, you're right. She does want leadership. She does want to reclaim, the glory of the Mandalorians. And because they know that the planet of Mandalore is not poisoned. They can live there if they choose to. So I think
also she's the one that saw the mythosaur.
Yeah, and that's the thing. This is gonna be what is the main story of this season. This is gonna be the big conflict, if you will. The other conflict I think is gonna be the idea of like the New Republic and the remnants of the Empire, and like because I think this is technically set before the events of like what will be Force Awakens, right?
Yeah, this is 5 years after Return of the Jedi.
Right. So I think the reason why we're getting like,
although if we take what Jon Favreau says, and that Grogu has been training with Luke Skywalker for 2 years, then it's 7 years.
Okay, well, regardless, here's what's going to happen. I think this is how I feel like the season's going to play out. The Bo-Katan, the Mandalorian story, like with Bo-Katan, Din Djarin, and like the whole like ancient creed of the Mandalorians, is they are going to find a way to. There's going to be that struggle to reclaim the Darksaber. Who's going to lead the Mandalorians back to glory to kind of like restore the Mandalorian Empire? That's what we're going to get with that side. the reason why we had the side story with like, you know, these, you know, former Empire guys that were sort of being like re-put into the New Republic and like the betrayal there. This is the story of how we still, because in Force Awakens we still have the New Republic, yet we also have like all of a sudden the Empire is still kind of around in a way. It's like it's so this is how
remnants.
Yeah, and this is probably a Kathleen Kennedy storyline. She probably wanted this in there. It's not completely terrible so far, but we're gonna get the idea of like how is it that the Empire was semi restored back to like I thought it was dead. I thought we destroyed that thing. But this is kind of like how they are kind of like have some sort of like it might not be like the Empire like what we saw in the original trilogy, but it's like it's some sort of I don't know, predecessor to the Empire, if you will. That's how that's gonna like come about. I think that's what they're trying to do.
Right. Okay. Yeah. We kind of went deeper into it than I was expecting, but whatever, it's fine. Yeah. I mean, given just I know it's only been 3 episodes, but why do you think that the numbers have been so bad for this season?
Well, my theory is, it's been it's been well over a year since the Mandalorian season 2, and we were because the way that Mando season 2 ended, it was that huge trailer for Boba Fett, and we're like, fuck yeah, this is gonna be awesome. And then we got Boba Fett, and it's like, well, this was fucking bullshit. And so I think people got turned off a little bit, and it's been so long. Now, the episodes of the Boba Fett season that had Mando in it were clearly the best, but you know, fans are fickle sometimes. There's like, you know what, fuck this, you know, because I think like a majority of actual Star Wars fans like hated the new trilogy in a lot of ways, like you and me included. And I think that there was way too much time in the past. There should have been, while Boba Fett was going on, there should have been a Mando season as well, to be honest. And they're trying to spread, I don't know, they were trying to spread out stuff, like, so, but it's like, even after like the Boba Fett season ended, we had another year before we got
and then in between we had the Obi-Wan Kenobi show, which
also was okay. It was okay, but not.
I don't know, but it messed with the canon.
Yeah, it did.
The Obi-Wan, but Obi-Wan was never supposed to leave that planet, and yet he did. And Obi-Wan was never supposed to have an inner relationship with Leia, and yet he did.
Yeah. It just
Obi-Wan, he turned his back on a fellow Jedi. He would never do that.
Yep.
I was like, oh, the Jedi are over. Then what the fuck are you watching over Luke for? Obviously, you're gonna train Luke to become a Jedi again. So that fucking line doesn't make sense.
It doesn't.
I mean, I think what is it? You know, people say that the franchise fatigue is a real thing. It's like, no, franchise is a real thing when you get shit product.
That's bingo. And like I said, I just I look at a few franchises that I don't think have a bad movie, really. Like, we look at Rocky, right? Outside of 5 is really not a bad movie. It's the weakest for sure, But would you consider like Rocky 5 like a shitty movie?
No.
Exactly. Mission Impossible. Would you? Mission Impossible 2 is the weakest.
Yeah.
Would you consider that a shitty movie?
Not necessarily.
What else is like? Let's see. Like, I'm trying to think of it. Like, you haven't seen the Scream franchise. It's definitely like it's mixed opinions on the franchise, but I don't think there's a bad movie in the franchise. Like, it's is it formulaic? Sure, but that doesn't mean that's not a bad thing.
Right. I mean, because all of like the first 20 Marvel movies, they're formulaic, but they're still good.
Yeah.
It wasn't until they started. Captain Marvel, I think, was their first bad movie.
God, yeah.
And then
I still refuse to watch that.
Yeah, and then you have the Disney shows, and then Love and Thunder, and
Love and Thunder is awful. I see. Here's the thing. The reason why I would rather watch Thor: Love and Thunder over Captain Marvel, it goes back to what I was talking about earlier. Chris Hemsworth and the people that were behind Love and Thunder didn't spit in my face like Brie Larson did.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like she's an asshole, and nobody likes her, and that's why there's no Captain Marvel 2, and there never will be.
Yeah, or that's why she has to now share the marquee, because it's the Marvels, so it's gonna be her, that chick from WandaVision, Monica Rambeau, the one that gets powers, during WandaVision.
Yep.
And then the one that could has like the Choji power, that could expand her body parts or whatever. Ms. Marvel.
Yeah. Good
yeah.
Lord. That's another show I've never
I didn't watch it either. I didn't even watch Hawkeye, and I heard that was pretty decent.
Hawkeye's actually pretty good. I think you might like that.
And then, it's just franchise fatigue only happens when you start getting shitty product. Okay, and people get tired of it. And they're tired, and they're tired of holding out hope and then being utterly disappointed. And that's, ladies and gentlemen, is how you have franchise fatigue.
Yeah, like I was thinking, the other, going back to the past too, like Zatoichi. It's like 25 films could you say that it's formulaic? Sure, but I can't think of a bad film in the series.
Mm-hmm.
They're all pretty damn good. So it's like, it's about are you making are you shitting on the fans? Are you it's not about everyone's gonna different directors, different writers are gonna try to do something different.
Mm-hmm.
But are you respecting the fans and the lore of the series?
Mm-hmm.
If you're doing that, I can forgive where you know what, this didn't quite work for me, but overall it's not bad. I was entertained.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not what was happening here. This is why the numbers for Marvel's Mandalorian season 3 probably aren't as good, because riding the coattails of the success of the first 2 seasons were shows that from what we know, had different ideas that they were going to go with, that we were all excited about.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like a bait and switch that we got.
Mm-hmm.
Book of Boba Fett was not what we were supposed to have gotten. We got something else. Same thing with the Obi-Wan show. We didn't get what we were told we were going to be getting. And that, I think I said, it has to go with that battle with Kathleen Kennedy and Jon Favreau. And Kathleen Kennedy, unfortunately, has the power, where Jon Favreau does not have the same amount of power that she does.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what wins out, unfortunately. That's why Gina Carano is no longer a character in the series. This is the reason why, we have a lot of things wrong with what we have, because she got her way, because she is an egomaniac that just has to have her way. It's like what we talked about, like what was it with Wild Wild West, right? A producer that his a person that has no actually good ideas, but because they have power for some fucked up, they have attached themselves
Keep it
to
going.
all. Yeah, they've attached themselves to all these successful franchises, and so people think, oh well, such and such name, like they're successful, so I guess that's like the reason why, like we're if we have this person, they're gonna make money, they're gonna be successful. It's like, well, the reality is like that she kind of wormed her way in from the since God, I don't know how long she's been around, but like she has wormed her way in and has attached herself with successful franchises. And so people think that she is successful and that she has good ideas. And the reality is she doesn't. And so, but because she has that power from the studios behind her, she's able to enact what she wants to have. And in reality, the stuff that she is making is garbage. And what's people don't like the sequel trilogy. A majority of people, yeah, I know those movies did make a lot of money, but that's because a lot of Star Wars fans were like, they were excited to see them, and it's like, oh, and so they went to see them once because they wanted to see them, but man, it was just bad. And the same thing, like when we got like the Mandalorian, is like, oh fuck, this is exactly what I wanted to see. This is the type of Star Wars stuff that I thought we were going to be getting, and people were excited about it. And Kathleen Kennedy was like, yeah, she was the executive producer, but she wasn't involved in the show, and that's why it was successful. Then, because Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau were doing things, were making the show popular, and people liked it, and so Kathleen Kennedy thought that she needed to stick her stupid nose in, and that's why like we're maybe getting the law of diminishing returns, and that's why people are kind of like we're getting all this stupid battles, and why people are getting fired, and other storylines are being promoted, and the stuff that we're supposed to be getting in these other shows isn't happening. It's probably because of her. She's going to be the main driving force behind that. So there you go. That's why.
Yeah, I'm just gonna quickly move along. Well, I can't really talk about Picard anyways, but yeah, because I do want to make leave some time for the movie review. But yes, Picard season 1 sucks. Season 2 I can't speak of because I refuse to watch it. But there was enough buzz around, or there was enough good press, at least amongst the kind of reviewers that I follow. And so I succumbed and I watched, and actually so far, yeah, it's better. It's definitely better than what we've gotten so far, and some of the payoffs uh, have the emotional payoffs of certain storylines are way better than what we've gotten. But I
Did they?
fully,
Oh,
but I fully grant that this is Kurtzman's Trek. This is still like the the this within the Star Trek universe that they created, where that there's cursing in Star Trek now.
that's bullshit.
Yeah, like the pure fucking hubris as one fucking crotchety bit some crotchety biddy of a admiral, once said. But this third one, it's not bad. I have to say it's not bad.
Now, would I be missing anything? Like, would I be lost if I didn't watch like the first season?
No, not at all.
Okay, because I trust your judgment, Andy. If you're saying that season 3 of Picard is okay, I might just jump into season 3.
Yes, I'm staking it right now on my good word that season 3 is not bad, and there are some pretty good emotional payoffs regarding certain characters.
Okay.
And I'm talking legacy characters.
So like we're talking about so I heard that they brought in Jonathan Frakes.
They brought in, I mean, with the exception of Denise Crosby, they brought in, and Will Wheaton. They brought in back the old TNG cast.
So like Data's in there.
Well, not Brent Spiner as Data, but Brent Spiner is going to be making an appearance. As another legacy character.
Oh, okay, all right. Oh,
so man. Yeah, Brent Spiner's back. Gates McFadden is back. Michael Dorn is back. Jonathan Frakes is back. Marina Sirtis is back.
Oh shit.
LeVar Burton is back. Yeah, the entire Next Gen cast is back. Is gonna be back.
Oh, man, I like I said, those are all characters I like.
Yeah. Have you finished the Next Generation?
I am almost done with it.
What season are you on?
I'm in like season
5, 6.
Like 5 or I think I'm in season 6 actually.
Okay.
And then I still need to watch the Next Generation movies.
Okay. Let's see.
It's been a while since I've been watching Next Generation because it's been a lot harder for me to watch shows recently as opposed to movies. So I'm like, I've been a little bit.
Okay, then okay. Where is it? Hold on. This is the okay. Okay. Would prefer you to be in season 6.
Okay.
But I think it'll be fine.
Well, I may just start to revisit some of the Next Generation. Anyways,
well, and because then one of the at least initially within like the first I forget how many episodes in season 3 that it's into, but one of the payoffs is someone that first makes their appearance first in the 5th season, but doesn't have the impact may not the impact of this character's payoff may not have any effect until you've seen the entire series.
Okay, all right. I'll finish. What I'll do is I'll finish Next Generation, and then I'll watch Picard season 3. Okay. But like the other 2 seasons, I can just pretty much like fuck off with those.
Don't even waste your time. First one for sure. Second one, again, I can't comment on since I didn't watch it. But by everything I've heard of it is garbage. But yeah, season 3 has actually been pretty enjoyable. and I think, and one of the strongest opponents for not watching this season has been a creator by the name of Doomcock.
Mm-hmm.
And his rationale is that if we all flock back to it, because after Picard season 3, I think the contract is supposed to be up for Alex Kurtzman as a producer, or
Mm-hmm.
or his production company Secret Hideout to produce new Trek. And so Doomcock's worry is that if we all of a sudden flood back into Picard season 3, then Alex Kurtzman might be able to use that as leverage and say, "Hey, see, look what I did. I made this last season and it did great. Maybe we should talk about extending the contract." And so if that happens, then we could he might get another chance to keep screwing up Star Trek.
Yeah.
So and that's not a frivolous worry, in my opinion, because people do that all the time. They make crap and they do one good season and they go, "Oh, hey, here, look at the good that I did," and then they're able to renew contracts.
And because that's the thing, is I mean, we've talked about it a number of times, all these people that are taking these franchises and that do have, you can continue, you make great stories out of them fairly continually, as long as obviously the actors want to do it and the writers are into it. And you get these people that they're they eat them out from the inside, and they have these zombie husks. It's oh man, I know you like this, and it's and then they put out this new stuff, and it's this is fucking bullshit. You're not respecting anything about this thing that I like. And it's Star Trek is that's one of those series that can always reinvent itself. I mean, Star Trek, the original Star Trek is completely different from The Next Generation, and which is completely different from Deep Space Nine, which is completely
my favorite iteration.
Which I've heard that from a lot of people. They really love Deep Space Nine. I've never seen it, and I can't wait to watch.
Dude, I want you to hurry up and get to us so we can start talking about it.
Okay, you know what? As soon as I'm gonna make a concerted effort to get to that.
Yes, fast track that shit.
Because we once I start watching it, we are 100% going to talk about it on the stream. So
yeah, absolutely.
But like I said, it's a show that completely constantly reinvents itself, and it does have a lot of stories to tell.
Yeah.
Star Wars is another thing where we don't always have to focus on the Jedi, and that was what was so great about The Mandalorian. It's a bounty hunter show. It's great. And I think it's I said, the whole relationship with Mando and Grogu, and I like that. At the time we thought it was Baby Yoda, but we found out his real name, and it was it's a show that has done different things, and it's that this is what we wanted. I think a lot of seeing the lore of the Mandalorian come about in a live action show, I was that's cool. That's something that we would love to see. And so there's a lot of potential there to do different things. We don't always have to deal with the Jedi. Star Trek can always do some other iteration. There's a lot to talk about in that universe. So I don't know. Maybe I think Mando has my theory is Mando has the problem of it waited too long to come out with the third season, and after a couple of semi-failed shows with Obi-Wan and Boba Fett, it's people are just well, I guess they're not. It's not going to be good anymore, and people tuned out. I think Disney has its own problems to begin with too. Like people are kind of like probably stepping away from Disney a little bit. Why Picard season 3 is going so well? You know what? Like I don't know why it's going so. I mean,
because
other than being like better than the other 2 seasons.
Well,
I don't.
One of the reasons is they actually have an invested showrunner in someone by the name of Terry Matalas.
Yeah.
He's actually been an actor, like background actor. So he in Star Trek shows.
Okay.
So he's not like this outsider or someone coming in or whatever. He's invested in Star Trek.
So he's like Sam Rockwell's character from like Galaxy Quest, like running the show.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's a great analogy. Yeah. Yeah, because one of the planets that's a lot of the story that's taking place in season 3 is actually called Matalas Prime, which is named after the showrunner Terry Matalas.
That's fucking great.
Yeah.
So
we have someone. Yeah, so we have someone who's invested in Trek, making this 3rd season. I hope it doesn't give the wrong signals to Paramount and be like, oh wow, this you did a great job, Kurtzman.
Or at least that they would look deeper. It's like, why did this season do so well? Oh, yes. Well, let's reward the people that made this do well. Let's continue.
Or maybe we should go more along the lines of what this guy did, as opposed to what we've been doing.
Well, it's similar to like with the Next Generation. The first season was not received very well.
No. And there was some hostility from OTS fans.
Yeah, and like Gene a lot of people thought that Gene Roddenberry was maybe losing his edge a little bit, and so they brought on new writers and producers and showrunners, and from season 2 on, it was received super well. People really liked it, but but at the same time, it still honored Star Trek. So it's just like one of those things where I think you finally have a guy that has come on is like who actually likes Star Trek, wants this to be a Star Trek show, and it's like, okay, well, let's ignore all the crap that came before, and like we're essentially starting over.
Oh, you said you're in season 5, right?
Yes.
Have you watched Darmok?
Refresh me on like the premise of that episode.
First contact mission, Picard and the alien captain are transported to the planet, and they have to struggle against some alien creature, but the aliens communicate in a completely
yes. Yeah. Okay, now that I'm hearing that, yes, I have seen that episode.
Yeah. Darmok and Jalad at Tanagra. Does that sound familiar?
Yeah. Yes.
Temba, his eyes open. It's funny because I just recently saw that episode too. I always love that one. I always love that episode.
Yeah, like I said, I'm still probably a TOS guy. Like I love the original series, but man, Next Generation is really fucking good.
Yeah, dude, hurry up and get to DS9.
Okay, that is gonna be my goal this year, so that we can start talking about it on stream, because I do want to talk about it.
Right, but I will make a caveat. The first 2 seasons are gonna be kind of rough.
Dude, you know what I put myself through when it comes to movies, and
I know, but I'm just preparing you though, because because as rough as the first 2 seasons of it's kind of like the thing. It's like the first 2 seasons of Next Gen were, kind of hard, kind of were kind of a slog.
It was a little bit of a slog, but but I know overall that the series is good, so I was like willing to like. But
okay, yeah. So keep that same frame of mind for DS9.
Yeah, that's okay. I can work through that.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, because Cisco is my favorite. Cisco is my favorite captain.
Come on, I watched like stuff like Manos, Hands of Fate, Wizzo the Clown, and the Christmas Circus. Like, I don't mind putting myself through like a little bit of torture for
good entertainment. I know. All right. Yeah. So, I would recommend, Picard season 3. If you don't have to pay for it, that would be ideal. I'm not advocating for anything, but I'm just saying.
I actually technically don't have to pay for it because I've shared some of my accounts with my mother, who has Paramount. She gave me her Paramount account. So
well, there you go. All right, so your mom's fitting the bill. Perfect.
So technically, my mom is paying for Paramount right now.
Perfect. Do not give Alex Kurtzman leverage in the negotiations. All right.
So, yeah. No, well, she got the Paramount app because it's paired. It's like it's kind of paired with CBS, so she watches like her CBS soap operas on there. But I did a whole Mission Impossible marathon, getting ready for the new one coming out, and then I've also been doing a Rocky marathon because I want to watch the Creed films that I've never seen. So I wanted to watch all the Rocky films before I went to go watch Creed 1 and 2, and potentially so I could go watch Creed 3 in theaters.
Yeah, I haven't seen the third one of Creed yet.
I've heard nothing but good things so far.
Okay. I've heard good things too, like maybe a few middle of the road kind of impressions, but yeah, overall good things.
So
yeah.
We'll definitely have to talk about Creed at some point.
At some point. All right. Yeah, that's all I have to say about
Same.
The whole Mando Picard thing going on right now. I hope Mando gets better, or kind of starts to pick up a little bit more.
Overall, I'm liking it so far, but I could see where people are like, "What the fuck is going on?"
Yeah, and I'm sure. Yeah, and then and I expressed it initially too to you about how why are they doing a retread of Mando's mission? When they already did that in Boba Fett, and then you reminded me well, maybe not everyone saw Boba Fett. That's a fair point.
Yeah, because by the time they got to the Mando episodes in Boba Fett, people are like, "What the fuck is this? This is not what we were hoping for," and they probably just didn't watch it.
Sure. Yeah, exactly.
And I'm pretty sure that they saw those numbers. You know what? We better have kind of a recap episode.
Yeah. So yeah, fair points. All right, that'll bring us to our movie review for tonight, and let's get into it, and we can wrap things up. Let me hit everyone with the synopsis, and then we'll get going. All right, to remind you guys again, tonight's movie is The Father, starring Anthony Hopkins, Olivia Colman, Imogen Poots, that's actually her name, Olivia Williams, and Rufus Sewell. In synopsis, a man refuses all assistance from his daughter as he ages. As he tries to make sense of his changing circumstances, he begins to doubt his loved ones, his own mind, and even the fabric of his reality. Yeah, this movie came out in 2001. Director Florian Zeller.
Yeah, it was his directorial debut, by the way.
And of course, it has the accolade of for Anthony Hopkins for Best Actor.
He is the oldest Academy Award winner for Best Actor.
Yeah, I think is he in his 90s?
So he is 86 now. He was 83 when he won it.
I see. Okay.
Is this your first viewing of The Father?
It is.
What did you think of it?
Initially, it was very hard to ground myself in this movie because this movie is the unreliable narrator
Yep.
on steroids. So certain scenes like repeat themselves or there's a slight shift or something, and things are like slightly different. So it's really hard to ground yourself into this movie. But if you go in,
I think purposely done that way.
Purposefully done, yes, of course. But if you go in knowing that, I think it'll be less disorienting for you, and so you'll be able to just watch the movie.
Going in that this is a man that is dealing with dementia, I was like, okay, and we are. It's not like we're not following his family members. We're following him. Mm-hmm. So we are in his mind, mm-hmm. And so what happened? And what's scary is, and I've had family members who have had dementia who have passed away from it. My grandmother, my great grandmother, and Anthony Hopkins, his parents went through the same thing. So he was just drawing upon, if he, he's not a method actor, but he's like, I kind of know what is, what I'm dealing with here. Like, this is not like some like new concept to me. Mm-hmm. And so, he's just taking, like I said, I'm just a guy. I take the lines off the page. They speak to they're telling me what to do. So I'm going to do that. And, so we are in the mind of Anthony, the old man. And what happens with people who have dementia, Alzheimer's, is that, because their brain is degrading. It's not functioning properly. So memories become very skewed. People who who you've known your whole life, you don't recognize. So it's easily for he is mixing it, he's not recognizing his own daughter, and we see that in the thing of where his daughter doesn't look like his daughter all of a sudden.
Right.
Her husband doesn't look like her husband all of a sudden, and oh no, I'm not married, but you're not really sure. Wait, is Anne married? Is she not married? Right. And we're not really.
Time sure. Time is very fluid, in the perspective of Anthony Hopkins' character.
Yeah, he doesn't remember that his other daughter, who doesn't show up, that he keeps talking about that he loves more than Anne. Why doesn't she visit him anymore? Mm-hmm. Well, I don't. It seems like she's dead. That was my.
It's I think it's heavily implied. And then particularly that dream or vision that Anthony has of the supposed healthcare worker in the hospital, kind of cut and bruised up from an accident. I think that's a memory of his that's something that happened to his daughter.
Right. But like I said, and what's brilliant about this, because this comes from a play, based off of a book. Mm-hmm. And I guess the book was like a trilogy, so there was more than one story to this, and it was a French book. It was done by a French author. They did a play off of this, and the director of the play, or one of the directors of the plays, is the director of this movie, and he's like, well, we're not going to do exactly how we did it in the play, mm-hmm. but it definitely has that this. You could see this as being a play, right? Because we're in one setting essentially.
Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. The apartment. Which
is constantly changing, right?
Right, but then also at the end, you kind of see how it starts to look like the doctor's office and also the care facility.
Yeah, slight changes and things like because
Yeah,
his
color
memory.
schemes. Yeah.
So I think initially it starts out as like we're in Anthony's flat, but then it changes into his daughter's house.
Mm-hmm.
Then it changes into like maybe it's
The doctor's office.
yeah, and then it's the
And then
doctor's
then
office,
it's the
then
hospital.
hospital. Yeah, it's like it, it's crazy. Like it's just the way like, and if you're not paying attention, you're saying like, wait, yeah, this is his house, right? Like, it's so, wait, what's going on? Like, are they trying to fuck with this guy? And like, and in reality, it's like no, like like I said, we're with an unreliable narrator, whether we realize it or not, and we as time is passing, and time is a huge portion, a huge component of this film.
Mm-hmm.
He's always looking for his fucking watch.
Mm-hmm. That's
He
right.
like the watch is like the thing that grounds him almost. His opera music and his watch. Those are the things that kind of keep him grounded. When he doesn't have those things, he starts to kind of like unravel a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And the like as you're watching the movie, if you're there's subtle changes to like the background, like the in one sense like the decorations are different, the pictures are hung differently, or sometimes pictures are completely gone.
Mm-hmm.
So like there's all sorts of like little changes like here and there, and you also hear certain conversations uh several times because it's like he is like maybe like repeating a certain conversation that he semi remembers over in his head,
Mm-hmm.
especially about like him being a burden, and Anne is trying to do her best as a as his daughter
Right, the
to
dutiful
take care,
daughter.
but that's a strain on a marriage. That's a strain on her as a person,
Mm-hmm.
and so her husband or that's the thing I couldn't quite figure out. Is Anne married or is she not married? It's like, and
Because we don't know how long like she takes care of her father, and
we don't
so
know how long he's been dealing with this too, how long his memory has been going.
yes, right, and so or at least like we don't know how long like he's been uh, encumbering her marriage. So like maybe that conversation that she has with Paul, is happening towards the end of like their marriage, and it's like this is kind of like the last straw.
So I think like that the one guy that he sees, that's like maybe her like ex-boyfriend, ex-husband,
Mm-hmm.
and then we get like the other guy who is her actual husband or current husband. It's we're not really sure like why he's seeing like the two different guys.
Well,
Um,
one of them is one of the hospital workers, one orderly.
the bald guy, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
He's one of the okay. That's what it is.
yeah.
That's he's mixing up the hospital workers with the actual people, like Anne and like
Yes.
her husband. Okay,
Yeah,
that's
what is it? The Catherine caretaker woman. Like he confuses her for Anne in
right,
one scene. Yeah.
right. Okay, so that's what I couldn't quite figure out. But like, I think the Anne's husband. Do you think that he actually hit him?
That I'm not 100% sure on.
Because I'm not convinced that Anne it was trying to smother him,
Right.
and I'm not, and it, but like, because I don't believe that actually happened just based off of who Anne is, and but based off of how the husband is,
Mm-hmm.
who I think is much more frustrated than Anne is, or at least is more vocal about it. And he's like, I think you're faking it. Like, I think this is all bullshit. I don't know if he's that cruel. And then the fact, like, just fucking, like, start smacking him around. And, like I said, because Anthony is saying some very mean things. And this is what happens with Alzheimer's patients, too. Like, they sometimes say mean things. Like, some people think that that's maybe, like, this is their real personality, like, unfiltered. And other people say it's like, no, their mind is not right. Like, they're saying things that are mean, but they're not. It's not really them saying it. It's just kind of like they are lashing out at something that they don't know, and they're saying some really mess up things, and you can't really take it too seriously. They're not of the right mind, and I'm not really sure of what it is in this case. But yeah, he says some really fucked up things to Anne. It's always talking about, like, you know, his daughter, like, Anne's the one that's taking care of him, and the other daughter who's not around, which we think that she's actually dead. That's why she's not around.
Yeah.
But he doesn't know that. And it's saying, like, how much better that, you know, she, better daughter, that he loves her more than Anne. And, like, always talking about, like, how, you know, the mom is, like, was awful, and, like, who is also not in the picture because she's probably dead. Or, God forbid, divorced from him. And so, yeah, like I said, it's this movie is a constant guessing game to figure out, like, what is the reality. And I think that's one portion of it. But this is a brilliant performance by Anthony Hopkins. I feel like I have dementia watching this movie because, like, I don't. It is I actually ended up watching this with my wife, who became an Anthony Hopkins fan after watching this movie. She's like, it's like, wait, like, what's going on? Who, like, why are the characters changing? It's like, bingo, that's the point. We are meant to be confused. You have to remember this, because I told her the premise. Our main character has Alzheimer's, dementia. His mind is failing him. So, and I was explaining to her, like, how this kind of works, and, like, how time and things get confused, and they kind of merge together. So, like, you know, what's in the past, present, and future, kind of, you're not really sure where you're at, who you are. And in the end, like, you know, with his character, he's not even sure what his fucking name is. Like, that's how bad it's gotten. And once she understood that, it's like, oh my God, this is and it's like, does he actually have dementia? I was like, no, he's a very like, he's of sound mind. Like, and I actually, after we watched this movie, I showed her his Instagram. It's like, this guy is, like, one of, like, the most awesome guys out there. Like, he's so fun.
Yeah, and he's the kind of kooky grandpa you always wanted.
Yeah, and, like, once she understood that, like, oh my God, this is the greatest actor of all time. It's like, right, exactly.
Yes, you are correct, sir.
Like, yeah, like, he's amazing in this role. Like, he just kills it. I completely buy it. Like, this guy is losing it, and, you know, like you said, even to the point, like, where, like, this is another thing that the dementia Alzheimer's patients do. Like, it's a sense of pride. It's like, they know that they're like, wait, you know, I can't quite remember, but they fake it. They try to fake it. It's like, oh yeah, I knew that. You know, it's like, and they, like, it was a test. You know, it's like, I knew my watch was there all along. And it's like, it's these little games because they're scared. They don't want to feel like that they are losing themselves. And it's the fact that he played it like that. And, like I said, he this also goes to I think this is also kind of like him being very modest, because I think he is a great actor who brings a lot to the table. but he just says, "I just read what's on the page." Like, no, you don't. Come on, dude. Like, I know you do more than that. You're not just like, even in these bad movies, you are doing more. You are elevating every movie that you're in. Like, it's like, don't get me wrong, this is probably a brilliant screenplay, which this is the reason why you chose it, why these people came aboard to do this. But there's like, he's doing more than just reading the fucking words off the page. Like, I know he is. He's not a method actor,
No.
but he's doing more than that.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Like he's definitely drawing from experience, and it's like, yeah, that's not necessarily method. But like, if you need, if you're, playing a scene where like you're grieving the loss of your child, and let's say like you're a younger actor, and so you don't know what that pain is like, but like what it felt like, when your dog died at 8 years old.
Yeah.
And you could draw upon that.
Yeah, and I would say
so, that's and I think Anthony Hopkins is doing something like that. He's drawing on because he's lived a long life, and I'm sure he has.
Well, he said his parents went through this.
Right, but I mean, just in general, also like he's lived in interesting times. Not that that's weird not in the way of like that weird backhanded curse that that the Chinese always say. But like, yeah, he lived through interesting times, and so I'm sure like he's able to draw on all these experiences to help inform his performance.
Yeah. This movie is very like layered. Like, this is one that you can watch a bunch of times and like really get something new out of it. Trying to put the pieces together, because I think we're given like all the pieces that we need, like as far as like what the actual reality is. But it's like a 1,000-piece jigsaw puzzle. You're trying to put the pieces back together, and like, who is Anne? Who is her husband? Who are these characters? And like, you're trying every time you keep watching the movie, you're trying to put that puzzle back together. Did this thing actually happen? Did that actually happen? And it's, I had to say, one, this is a brilliant debut for a director. Was it Florian something?
Florian Zeller.
Florian Zeller. Brilliant. He did a great fucking job. And like I said, I would be more willing to watch what his other works are based off of this. This is a great debut. I think that all the actors did a great job. Anthony Hopkins, of course, won the Academy Award for this portrayal, deservedly so. I know a lot of people were fucking losing their shit that he won it over. I think it was like Chadwick Boseman that year. It's like, come on, how is, and like I said, I'm a Chadwick Boseman fan, but I'm sorry, Anthony Hopkins.
Right. Yeah, I mean, let's just be 100. Let's just be 100 for a second. And you say, are you saying that Chadwick's performance in Black Panther was more worthy than Anthony Hopkins? Just like straight up.
No.
Come on. And I mean, and I'm sure if Chadwick Boseman was alive and they gave it to him, they'd be like, "Why are you giving me this?"
He would say that himself.
Yeah, because that's the kind of man that he is.
And because he's also like, there's other performances that Chadwick Boseman has done that were more than willing of the Academy Award. Not Black Panther. I'm sorry. It's just like, he did great in that. This is like another gear up, way above that. This is like 2 gears above that.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, again, no shade being thrown at Chadwick Boseman, but like yeah, for Black Panther, he barely had to get out of first gear.
Yeah, it's just just
honestly.
So maybe that was also like the spark for me to watch this movie. Is like, okay, everyone's like shitting on Anthony Hopkins, like Oscar's so white, blah blah blah.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, well, you know what? I love Anthony Hopkins. Let's see this film. And it blew my fucking mind. It's like, oh god, this is horrifying. And this is so brilliantly acted. Yeah, I can't recommend this movie enough. It's so good. Do you have any other thoughts about the movie, Andy?
I don't. But yeah, seriously, this is powerhouse performance. And it's the subtleties that always get me. And I mean, one scene in particular I love so much is that scene in when when they're in the elevator, and he says, "What'd you do to your hair?" And because she's probably lived a life of unending criticism from her father. She goes, what's wrong with it? And he goes, "Oh, you look great." And then brought it like that huge smile on her face. After living with,
she's been living approval from him for so long,
right? And after living with probably so much criticism from him, getting that small compliment about her hair, that must have meant the world to her. It's just oh my, that subtlety is just so powerful. If you look for it.
That is one of those things where you're acting more with your body than your words.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, the surrounding cast to Anthony, the star is Anthony Hopkins, no doubt about it. But the other actors around him, even though they play smaller parts, good fucking god, they are brilliant. They're all great.
Mm-hmm.
They're all great.
Yeah. Have you seen Hot Fuzz?
I have not.
Okay.
Well, what about Hot Fuzz?
Well, because actually that's my first exposure to the Anne character, who was played. Yeah, and Olivia Colman, I believe.
Yeah, I have to check that out because I really like her, and but I mean I know the other actors that are in Hot Fuzz, and I like them. Like I know Benji from Mission Impossible is in it. He's one of the stars.
Simon Pegg. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Simon Pegg. He's in it. So I'm in another film of his that I just absolutely love. It's the third greatest zombie film, Shaun of the Dead.
Mm-hmm. Hold on. Let me just make sure before I say it. Yeah. Early 2000. Yeah. Yep.
All right, gives me a reason to
watch.
It's
funny because she plays a more comedic character. And it's pretty funny.
Yeah, she's an interest. Based off of this movie, I like her as an actress, so I'm more than willing to check out some of her other stuff. But yeah, this movie's awesome. I'm glad we finally got to talk about it. It blew my mind, man. I did not think that we could. I think this is the most accurate way to portray, to really feel like you're in the mind of someone with dementia, more than what this film does.
Mm-hmm.
And as someone who has had family members who have suffered and died from it, it just it meant a lot to me.
Mm.
It really did, because like now I see, like I already knew it was bad, but like I see how scary it really is.
Mm. Yeah, and I mean, I don't know if my aunt had Alzheimer's like proper, but I know like she had some form of degenerating disease.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'll be honest, I wasn't there. Like I wasn't there. When she was like when she was coming apart. I only I only saw her when like it was like towards the end, and she was like non-responsive, and she needed she everything needed to be done for her. Um, but yeah, but just seeing that process of just losing yourself, it must have been really scary, and like just like the and I just and also just like the probably the weight that my cousins had on their shoulders, caring for their mom, my aunt. Um, just all the respect in the world for them, because
Yeah.
they have to watch their mom like slip
Waste
through their
away.
waste away, slip through their fingers. At a certain point, I'm sure she forgot who, like she literally didn't know who my cousins were, like her own children.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So I mean, like I said, this is if you are wondering what that experience is, this is as close as you're gonna get.
Mm-hmm.
And I seriously, I recommend this film to anybody who is wondering about this disease. I think this is a great film to steer them towards. Um, and next week we're also going to be dealing with someone with dementia and Memoir of a Murderer. That's a little bit of a darker movie in a sense. Like it's a good movie. It's just like it's a little bit crazy, but I would say like if uh you're really trying to understand what someone with dementia goes through, this is the film that you have to watch.
Mm-hmm.
You'll never really fully experience that, but this is as close as you can possibly get.
Right.
And kudos to Sir Anthony Hopkins for just his great performance.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Couldn't agree more.
Well, let's get to our ratings then.
All right. Yeah. Let's give our ratings, and then we could we'll call it a stream.
Yeah, we've had some real great films this month so far. Yes.
Mm.
All the films we've done have been great. Like Shock Corridor. I mean, Jason Bourne, we knew that we were gonna like, obviously, but Shock Corridor was a lot of fun for both of us. This film was great, and I think you're gonna like next week's film too. But
I remember. Yeah, you've been raving about it for a while now, so yeah,
dude,
I'm looking forward to it as well.
I can't wait to hear what you have to say about next week's film. This movie, I'm sorry, I have to give it 5 stars. I can't give it anything less than that. I think the subtlety of like how they kept changing we know we're in the same set, but how it just like subtly kept changing like little by little as like the time the time changed and progressed. The performances of Anthony Hopkins is just beyond great, and all the supporting characters of his just played up really well. This is not yes, this does come from the theater, but this is not like one of those where acting. It's not one of the. It's everything is very subtle, and it's just like it's well crafted, well written, well acted. It's everything is just done really well, and yeah, a great debut by Florian Zeller. I'm looking forward to whatever project he has next. I'm probably gonna watch it, and this came at a time where I think that film was starting to degrade a little bit, and yeah, then we get like this grand performance. So 5 stars for me.
I think I'm in agreement with you. You know, me. I'm always looking for the cloud and the silver lining. But in this case, I can't really be that nitpicky. Particularly knowing that this is like a stage play, it was like adapted, and it was a really tight kind of production. But I don't think anything was wasted. I don't think anything was frivolous.
Yeah.
I don't think any like camera angle or like particular lighting choice was uh, a misstep in this case. So yeah, and just the performances, all around too. I mean, I know Anthony Hopkins gets the lion's share of the credit here, but yeah, Olivia Colman, just uh, the bereft of just hope. That the kind of woman, like the kind of person that that has to live through this. Like she's trying to be the dutiful daughter, but at the price, but at the price of her own happiness and fulfillment.
And you see that in her face, like
exactly. Her performance is just so great because like you see like she's trying to keep it together and she's trying to be strong for her father, but it's just like sometimes when he gets on, you see the chip in the shield, and then you see like how she actually is feeling.
There is never a moment like where she like shouts out like, "This is tough. How dare you do this?" It's not like no. There's none of that.
Yeah.
It's
exactly.
all.
It's very quiet. It's quiet. It's a softer kind of. It's a quiet scream.
You see like the optimism she has, like I'm going to fight through this and we're gonna get through this. Mm-hmm. And at the same time you see her defeat. Mm-hmm. She's like she knows because like the thing that her husband is saying, it's like he needs to be in a place like we can't do this. We don't like and like it's in a way the way that we see him, it seems cruel. But I think that like they've been dealing with this for so long. It's like and he is just as frustrated and as exhausted as Anne is, mm-hmm. and he is saying it in a crass way,
but he more straightforward. He's saying more
straightforward. Right? Yeah, it's like he needs to be in an institution. We can't take care of him, mm-hmm. and it's not because like we hate him. I don't think that her husband hates him. I don't think that was it Paul. I don't think Paul hates him. It's just it's having someone with that condition. It takes a absolute saint. Like it's like if it was just Anne by herself, she would just like absorb all that issue.
Yeah, she would deal.
She would deal with it, and she would like she would just handle it. Mm-hmm. But like I said, we see her defeat and her like optimism in the same moment. And it's just like, man, that is, like I said, it's not just Anthony Hopkins, it's everybody. They do such a great fucking job.
Yeah, even the husband, played by Rufus Sewell. He's great. He always plays kind of like the asshole, but in this one, he's not really the asshole. Yeah, he's being direct. He's being direct, yes, but I think he's being direct from a good place where he's like he doesn't want to see his wife suffer like this. And so I think it's ultimately coming from a good place.
Yeah, he was also in M. Night Shyamalan's Old, where he played a guy that like on the beach as is like because it was like this weird place where time progressed at like a very aggressive
fast rate,
at fast pace, and he developed dementia. Like his character had dementia. And so he lashed out at like all the other like beachgoers because of that condition. And so I was like, I want, because I think Old came out after this movie. And
I believe so too.
And I think he was taking like some of those chops that he saw in The Father and put it into that movie.
Mm-hmm. I haven't seen it, but I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, he does. I think that movie's really good. And it's but yeah, he's a good actor. I like him too. But yeah, so it looks like a 5-star film for both of us.
Yeah, that's right. So there you have it. That's our review for The Father. Both Robert and I give this a 5. Definitely a movie to watch. Watch it. Anthony Hopkins gives a performance of a lifetime, and again, kudos all around for all the other actors as well. Do yourself a favor and watch this movie. Yeah, a little bit of a warning. Yes, it will. Initially, it will be hard. It'll be a little bit disorienting at first, but
it's supposed to be.
It's supposed to be. So just know that going in. All right, that's our stream for tonight. I hope you had a good time. I know I had a good time. I know Rob always has a good time.
Tuesday's my favorite day of the week.
And I hope it's all of y'all's favorite day of the week as well. Don't forget to check out the library of other content that we have. The Circle Jerks main podcast, episodes of Nocturnal Transmissions, of course, and Rob's gaming show, Up by Up Down. Just a quick plug again. Don't forget to check out Rob's appearance on A Cut Above, a horror movie review. Robert represents. He does a great job. Go check it out wherever you get your podcast.
Yeah, we did The Bad Seed from 1956, starring Patty McCormick and Nancy Kelly. Also a stage adaptation, like this movie was. And so yeah, it was it's doing pretty well on for A Cut Above. I heard the numbers were pretty good, so I guess people liked it.
So they like you. They really, really like you.
They like me. They really like me.
Yeah. Don't forget to follow us on our various social media accounts: Twitter and Letterboxd at PodcastCOJ, and Instagram at Circle Jerks Podcast. And with all that said, thank you for joining us tonight. Come back next week, and we'll do it all over again. Have a good one. Let's do it.